When building out your workflow, sometimes you're going to have to use a state machine. And so let's take a look at how a state machine works within Nintex workflow for Office 365. Under the Logic and Flow section, you'll expand that and you'll see that we have the state machine action. And so to set the state machine, when you first place that on the designer canvas, you'll notice that you by default get two states, and in there will be two set next states, so one under each branch. In this example, what we want to do is run through a document approval process. And in this document approval process, what we're looking at is having 3 people review. And that's going to be the initial person that published in case they need to make any edits. The manager is going to have to review this, and they'll be the first one to take a look at the content. Then we'll have the head of the department make sure that everything is okay with it, and then we'll push it off to publishing. So if we think about it, there's actually 4 stages in this business process. But if one person decides to reject it and send it for edits, we don't want to break that loop. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we'll build that out. We've already got the state machine on the designer canvas, and we double click to go and set our states. So let's go ahead and set these states in here. So we can do editor, manager, we'll add another state for director, and then we'll put publish as the last state. So we've determined all the states that this business process will go through for this exact loop. What we next need to check out is what will be the first loop that it will go down. So when we enter a state machine, we have to determine what the initial state is. And in this, we want the manager. So for example, the manager will be the first person to review this. So we click on manager and then we click on save. You'll notice that we no longer have the exclamation point or like the caution flag on this action, but all the subsequent set next state actions do have that because we haven't configured those yet. But we did inherit the additional branches, and they're all named now for the states that we applied within the state machine. By default, the manager is the first branch will go down. And so in here, what we can do is do the assign a task action and place that down under manager. Now we need to tell the state machine where to go next. And we won't worry about configuring the assign a task. That's for a different video series. But what we're concerned here with is setting the next state. So we can move this set next state action over here, and then we'll copy it and place another one under rejected. So what this means is based on this condition in here, we can tell the workflow where to go. So if the manager approves it and likes it, and they want to send it to the director. So we'll double click on the set next state, and we'll change that to be director. Now you'll notice when I clicked on the dropdown, it took all those state values that we already determined within the state machine action, and then also placed an additional one here called exit state machine. We'll talk about that in a minute. So we'll go and set this to director. Now if the manager rejects it, what they can do is send it over to the editor, and the editor can make changes on there. So let's jump down over to the editor section, and we'll assign them a task too. If they approve it and make their changes, we can send it right back over to the manager for their review. And if they do not like it, what we can do is paste another one here, and we can actually exit the state machine. So what does that mean? Well, remember, we are in a complete loop. So if I zoom out here, you'll notice that the state machine itself is encompassed within this entire box, and all our states are in there too. So you have to get out of this loop to exit the workflow. And to do that, you're going to want to use the exit state machine setting. Otherwise, you're going to be in this continuous loop and you've never really ended it. So you would make sure to use the set next state as exit state machine. So what we'll do is kind of mimic the exact same thing over for the director. So I'll copy this, place this over under the director. But what we'll do here is if it's approved from the director, then we'll send it over to publish. And if it's rejected, then what we can do is send it right back to the editor, or we can send it to the manager. But in this instance, what we'll want to do is send it back to the manager, and the manager can deal with it at that point. We'll delete this set next state over here. And then under publish, we can do a whole bunch of different actions, such as pushing it to a third-party service or whatnot. But what's more important is that we want to make sure that we exit this state machine. And so there we go. Now we're able to go and jump between states over here. And so let me minimize that. So for example, we initially take in the state machine. We determined already that it goes from manager review. If the manager approves it, then what happens is the workflow will then push everything over to the director branch, and they'll go and assign the task. If the director approves it, then we go to publish. However, if the director rejected it, we go back to manager, and if the manager rejects it, we go to editor, and editor has the opportunity to either send it back to manager under approver or exit the state machine if they reject it. Now, one tip, what you might want to do is provide a little bit more context in the title. So if you click on set next state, in here, what we want to do is set that to manager. So I'll just put down the name of the branch that it goes to. And you don't have to do this, but it just looks like a better practice to do that. And so do that with all the subsequent actions. So if somebody else was looking at this business process, they can understand where the set next state goes.